Angel Reese being chosen over Io Wilson would have been unthinkable a year ago. Known for her poor shooting and infamous rebounding stats padded by intentional misses, Reese has long been criticized as a bricklayer, more than a baller. And yet, she made the cut. Why? Because in a room full of stars, character now matters more than shine. Reese, for all her flaws, brings discipline, growth potential, and a willingness to adapt, qualities USA basketball now prizes above stat sheets and social media stardom. Her inclusion flipped the script and exposed how far Wilson had fallen for what the program values most. What might look like favoritism is actually foresight. The future of USA basketball isn't being built around highlight reels or emotional outbursts. It's about resilience, respect, and readiness for the global game. With Caitlin Clark and others stepping into leadership roles, the program is investing in players who can win under pressure without drama. Reese's spot wasn't handed to her. It was earned by aligning with this new philosophy. Wilson's exclusion wasn't personal. It was proof that past greatness means nothing if you can't grow beyond it. Io Wilson has officially entered the meltdown era, and not even a resume could save her this time. Despite being one of the most decorated players in WNBA history, with 4 MVP titles and the kind of stats that usually guarantee you a plane ticket to Team USA's training camp, Wilson found herself watching from the sidelines. No invite, no spot, no explanation, at least not the one she wanted to hear. And when the snub hit, it hit hard. What followed wasn't just disappointment. It was a full-blown public unraveling. Wilson turned to social media to vent, and what could have been a quiet reset turned into a very loud reminder of why she may have been left out to begin with. The truth is, Wilson's exclusion didn't come out of nowhere. This wasn't random. This wasn't politics. It was the direct result of a deeper shift within USA basketball. A shift away from players who demand respect based on past accolades, and toward athletes who demonstrate professionalism, adaptability, and maturity on and off the court. And that's where Wilson's case gets complicated. Because yes, her WNBA dominance is undeniable. Her stats speak volumes. Her accolades are legit. But when it comes to international play, the rules are different. Literally. Wilson's playing style thrives under WNBA officiating, where calls tend to lean star-friendly and physicality gets rewarded if you're wearing the right jersey. She knows how to work the whistle, how to draw fouls, how to get to the line. That's part of her effectiveness. But on the international stage, where the refs don't care about your name and calls don't favor anyone, that entire strategy collapses. The officiating is strict, impartial, and ruthlessly consistent. It doesn't cater to superstars. It challenges them. And Wilson has shown time and again that she struggles to adjust when the game isn't tilted in her favor. It's not just the gameplay. It's the reaction to the gameplay. Her public complaints about officiating in past international games raised red flags. You can't coach that kind of stubbornness. If a player refuses to adapt, refuses to own their performance, and shifts the blame to the refs every time things get tough, that's not a competitor. That's a liability. And for USA basketball, that's a deal breaker. Because this isn't about building an all-star highlight reel. This is about constructing a team that can compete and win against the best in the world. A team that plays together. A team that doesn't fall apart the moment they don't get a call. Which brings us back to Wilson's reaction to being left off the roster. Instead of taking the high road, she chose Twitter fingers. She aired out her frustrations like the entire world owed her something. And the worst part? She framed it all around her past success, as if her MVPs guaranteed her a permanent place on Team USA. That kind of entitlement is exactly what USA basketball is distancing itself from, because they've made their new priorities crystal clear: character, coachability, and readiness to adapt. They're investing in athletes who don't rely on reputation, who put in the work, who listen, who grow. And ironically, one of the clearest examples of that new direction is Angel Reese. Yes, Angel Reese, the same player who's been clowned online for missed layups, inefficient shooting, and questionable rebounding tactics. The one people love to call a bricklayer. The one who's still raw in so many areas of her game. But here's the twist. Reese was selected over Wilson. Why? Because Reese brings something Wilson hasn't shown lately: humility. Reese knows she's not perfect. She knows she has a lot to prove. And instead of whining about not being respected enough, she's putting in the work to get better. She's staying coachable. She's not demanding a spotlight. She's earning it, even if it means playing a supporting role. That shift in attitude is everything. USA Basketball is betting on players who can be molded, not managed. Players who don't bring drama. Players who know how to handle adversity without turning it into a PR disaster. Players who care more about the team than their own headlines. And that's where the contrast between Wilson and Reese couldn't be clearer. While Wilson was busy defending her legacy online, Reese was in the gym, taking the opportunity seriously, even if she knows she's not the best player on the floor. That growth mindset, that willingness to develop, that's exactly what the program is trying to cultivate. Because the future of women's basketball doesn't belong to the loudest voice in the room anymore. It belongs to players like Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Paige Beckers, and Juju Watkins. Players who aren't chasing controversy. Players who don't need to stir up rivalries to stay relevant. They've already won the respect of fans and teammates by doing something radical, staying focused. Clark, especially, represents everything this new era values. She's competitive, skilled, smart, and she handles the media spotlight with composure. No outbursts, no drama, just elite-level basketball and leadership. Same goes for Boston, Beckers, and Watkins. They're calm, consistent, and committed to the game. Not the headlines, not the social media stunts. Just real work, real growth, and real results. That's the future Team USA wants to invest in. And Wilson's inability or refusal to align with that mindset is exactly why she's out. The irony of it all? The very meltdown she used to try and defend her position ended up proving everyone's point. The entitlement, the blame shifting, the lack of maturity. It wasn't just a bad look. It was confirmation that she's not the kind of leader this team needs anymore. So while she clings to old accolades, the rest of the game is moving forward without her. This is more than a snub. It's a cultural reset. USA Basketball is no longer giving automatic spots to players with big names and bigger egos. They're building a program based on integrity, selflessness, and long-term potential. They're choosing discipline over drama, character over clout. And for once, it feels like women's basketball is finally moving in a direction where sustained success isn't tied to personality, but to professionalism. Wilson's exclusion is a symbol of that shift. It says that no one is above the program, not even a four-time MVP. It says that if you can't adapt, you get left behind. And it says, clearly, that the next generation is ready, and they don't need to scream about it online to prove it. Now it's your turn. Was the decision to exclude Wilson justified? Should her past accomplishments have guaranteed her a place on the roster? Or did her recent behavior make it impossible to keep her around? And what do you think of Reese's inclusion? Is this really the start of a new era, or just a one-off shakeup? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear every take. If you're into breaking down the drama behind the headlines, where talent clashes with truth and ego gets benched for good, hit that like button, share this with your basketball crew, and make sure you're subscribed. Because we've got plenty more to unpack in a world where reputations crumble and the future is being built one disciplined player at a time. This isn't just about one player. It's about the kind of legacy team USA wants to leave behind. And that legacy doesn't have room for meltdowns. At this point, it's not even about Io Wilson being left off the Team USA roster. It's about what her reaction revealed. Because a snub like this, it's supposed to be motivation. It's supposed to be fuel. For most players, getting overlooked lights a fire that pushes them harder. But for Wilson, it sparked a digital tantrum, public outbursts, bitter posts, defiance that had less to do with basketball and more to do with ego. And that's the part that sticks. Not the absence from training camp. Not the debate over stat sheets or game footage. It's the refusal to take the hit with grace. When you respond to a professional disappointment by dragging the entire system through the mud, especially on social media, it says way more about your mindset than your talent. It tells coaches, teammates, and fans that you think you're above the rules, that you don't believe in accountability, that you see your past success as a free pass to coast into the future. USA Basketball made it clear. They're not here for that energy anymore. The timing of it all only makes it more brutal. Because while Wilson was unraveling, a new class of athletes was rising, and they were doing it quietly. No drama, no victim complex, just consistent performance, calm leadership, and next-level maturity. Caitlin Clark continues to be the benchmark, not just because of what she does on the court, but because of how she handles the noise. She's under constant scrutiny from fans and media alike. She's dissected, critiqued, and hyped to an exhausting degree. And yet, not once has she turned that pressure into a pity party. She responds with focus. Same goes for Aaliyah Boston. She's a technician, steady and smart. She lets her game do the talking, and her game speaks fluently. Paige Beckers, she's been through injuries, comebacks, and relentless hype. Still grounded, still composed. Juju Watkins, a teenager who already carries herself like a seasoned pro. That's the level of emotional control USA Basketball is betting on. They've seen enough of the other side. Enough of the high-maintenance stars who think leadership means barking orders and demanding reverence. Enough of the drama cycles that distract more than they inspire. They want players who show up, show out, and shut up when the conversation turns personal. Which is why Angel Reese's inclusion is so telling. Let's not rewrite history. Reese has her flaws. Her offense needs polish. Her efficiency has been questioned. And yes, the internet has had plenty to say about her game. But she's taken every shot, figurative and literal, and kept pushing. She's improved. She's learning. She's staying coachable. That word matters. Coachable. Because in a system like Team USA, where egos are supposed to take a back seat to strategy and chemistry, coachability is the currency. The team doesn't need another face of a league. It needs glue players, role players, leaders who know when to lead and when to follow. Reese made the cut not because she's perfect, but because she's ready to grow. Wilson didn't because she thinks she's already arrived. And that difference is everything. The irony? Wilson's public complaints only helped USA Basketball prove their point. They didn't need to issue a press release. She showed everyone exactly why she wasn't selected. Every subtweet, every defiant quote, every reference to her MVP trophies only underlined the core problem. She still believes accolades are more important than attitude. But times have changed. USA Basketball isn't just building a team. They're building a culture. One that values character just as much as capability. One that wants its athletes to reflect the values of integrity, humility, and discipline. That means the players selected today are not only expected to win games, they're expected to represent the program in every sense. Wilson's brand of basketball? It's become symbolic of everything this new era is moving away from. The dependence on favorable calls? Not sustainable in international play. The reactive attitude toward criticism? Not helpful in team settings. The assumption that past achievements guarantee future roles? Not how elite teams operate. In this new world, there's no room for players who only thrive when a game bends to them. The international stage is neutral, unforgiving. You have to bring your best without expecting the environment to be tailored to your strengths. And Wilson? She hasn't proven she can do that. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is walking into every game with a target on her back and somehow still keeping her cool. She's not perfect either. But she's showing that greatness is just as much about how you carry yourself as it is about how many points you drop. Same goes for Boston, Beckers, Watkins. This generation of athletes is rewriting the blueprint. They're not interested in drama-driven storylines. They're not milking rivalries for clicks. They're just focused on winning, on leading, on being good teammates. That's the future. Wilson, for all her talent, seems stuck in the past. The version of the game where stars ruled by force, not example. Where respect was demanded, not earned daily. And where public meltdowns could be spun into sympathy. Not anymore. This isn't just about basketball. It's about values. USA Basketball isn't in the business of catering to diva behavior. They're crafting a roster that can thrive under pressure, respond to challenges, and represent the country with class. Wilson's exclusion isn't personal, it's principled. And if she wants back in, the path is simple but not easy. She'll need to change, not her jump shot, but her mindset. She'll need to prove she can take a hit and come back better, not bitter. That she can be a team-first player. That she can adapt to an environment where her name doesn't carry weight unless her attitude does too. Until then, the seat she once thought was reserved? Taken. Because right now, the players who are defining the next chapter of Team USA, they're already here. They're already working. And they're not waiting for the past to catch up. The game is moving forward, with or without her. And here's what makes it all even wilder. This wasn't supposed to happen to Aya Wilson. For years, she was a standard, the league's darling, the face of dominance in women's basketball. She wasn't just good, she was unquestionable. You didn't dare leave her off a roster. You didn't question her place in the conversation. You didn't expect her to not be at the center of every major USA basketball campaign. But now, she's not even on the training camp invite list. This wasn't just a bump in the road. It was a straight-up ejection from the inner circle. And the fact that it happened while less accomplished, less efficient, and frankly, less polished players got in, that's not just a snub. That's a statement. One the program was clearly ready to make. Because what it really says is, your resume doesn't make you untouchable anymore. Not when your game only thrives in one context. Not when you act like criticism is beneath you. And definitely not when you melt down publicly over something as basic as not being selected for a camp. AW, it doesn't matter how many MVP trophies you've stacked. If you can't carry yourself like a professional, USA basketball will move on without you. They just prove that. Now, here's the part people don't want to admit. Aya handed them the justification. If she'd taken the snub in silence, maybe posted a classy, just more fuel for the fire kind of caption, focus on a grind, there might have been backlash in her favor. People might have gone to bat for her, argued politics, favoritism, narrative bias. But instead, she gave them exactly what they needed. She reminded everyone why she wasn't picked. The attitude, the entitlement, the refusal to take an ounce of accountability. All of it spilled out online for the world to see, and it overshadowed her legacy in real time. What could have been an unfair controversy became an obvious decision. And yet, people are still mad. Not because they disagree with the new direction, but because it challenges how we use to measure greatness. For so long, the metrics were simple. Stats, trophies, big moments. That was it. If you had those, you were bulletproof. Now it's different. Now, character matters just as much as consistency. Mindset matters just as much as mechanics. You could be a walking double-double and still not make the cut if your vibe poisons the room. That's what Aya's reaction highlighted. Her inability to shift with the sport. She's still operating like it's 2019, when talent alone was the ticket. But in 2025, USA basketball is drafting a different kind of blueprint. And honestly, Angel Reese is living proof. Again, nobody's pretending she's a finished product. The memes about missed layups? Valid. The shooting struggles? Documented. But her response to all that criticism? Controlled. Focused. Not defensive. Not emotional. She's leaned into development. She's embraced her flaws and let them fuel her. That's the exact kind of player this system can work with. Someone who doesn't think she's arrived yet. Someone who knows she has something to prove. That's why she's in and Wilson's out. It has nothing to do with who's better on paper. It's about who fits the new mold. And the real kicker? Wilson doesn't want to fit it. She doesn't see the shift as an opportunity. She sees it as an insult, a threat to her status, a betrayal, which is why she's pushing back instead of adjusting. That resistance? It's why she's on the outside now. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Paige Beckers, and Juju Watkins are thriving under the same scrutiny. They're navigating the media, the pressure, the fan expectations, without letting it get messy. Clark could easily snap back at every slight. She could weaponize her popularity and demand a pedestal. But she doesn't. She plays. She leads. She adjusts. She grows. That's the model now. And Wilson? She's not following it. It's not about hating Aya. It's about recognizing the shift. The game isn't changing just for the sake of change. It's evolving. International play is too competitive. The margin for error is too thin. Teams can't carry deadweight attitudes, even if that deadweight comes in the form of a superstar. Especially when the other countries want to beat you more than ever. You need unity. You need players who can handle playing without being the main character. You need players who don't need the spotlight to shine. That's what Clark represents. That's what Boston, Beckers, Watkins, and even Reese are building toward. And it's what Wilson refused to embrace. The writing was on the wall. This snub was a long time coming. Not because she's not great, but because she hasn't evolved. And now, instead of quietly getting back to work, she blew it up. She turned a learning moment into a legacy moment, and not in a good way. So where does she go from here? That's up to her. She can double down, keep posting, keep blaming, keep surrounding herself with yes men who remind her of her greatness while the rest of the game passes her by. Or she can finally step back, rethink, grow. But here's the harsh truth. USA Basketball doesn't need her anymore. They've got a new roster of talent. Young, hungry, focused, unbothered. Players who aren't trying to dominate the locker room. They're trying to belong to it. And that mentality, it's contagious. This isn't just about one player being left off a list. It's about a generational handoff. From the era of entitlement to the era of accountability. From the loudest voice in the room to the strongest mindset on the court. From drama to discipline. Wilson's absence sent a message. But her reaction broadcasted it in surround sound. And it said, loud and clear, this is what we're leaving behind. Now I want to know what you think. Was Wilson's exclusion fair? Or was it a step too far? Should she get another shot? Or has her behavior already sealed the deal? And is USA Basketball making the right moves with this new direction? Hit the comments. Drop your take. And if you love watching sports politics unfold in real time, where stars fall, new legends rise, and every meltdown means something bigger, tap like, send this to your crew, and hit subscribe. We're not just watching the game, we're watching the game change. And not everyone's ready.